Hey everybody, it's Simon from MTB Mag here. So there's a lot of interest in mullet bikes at the moment, and we were curious as well. So there's two ways to make a mullet bike. Either one, you do what Martin Maes did last season, which is you take a 27.5 bike and you put a 29-inch wheel in the front, or you take a 29-inch bike and you leave the 29-inch wheel in the front and you put a smaller 27.5 wheel in the back, which is what we tried out today. So if you're starting off with a medium-wheeled 27.5-inch bike, at the very least you're going to need either a whole new fork or at least lowers, a front wheel, and a front tire. So in our case, we're starting off with a GT Force 2.9, so obviously a 29-inch wheeled bike. Crankbrothers was kind enough to send us their Synthesis E11 wheel set, which is a mixed size wheel set. So it's a medium wheel in the back and a big wheel in the front. So to correct the geometry, and especially as this bike is already a bit over forked, we dropped the front end 10 mil lower by putting in a new air spring. Whether you ride Fox or RockShox, you can get a new air spring online for fairly cheap. So another thing we did to further correct the geometry is we put the bike in high setting. This one has two options, so we put it in high, and we also got an offset bushing to further correct the bottom bracket height. So to correct for geometry, we got a BergTech offset bushing. Something you're going to want to keep in mind is that bushing is going to change your suspension kinematics. So it's really important to cycle your shock through and make sure it's not hitting on the frame anywhere, or your link isn't in a different place than it was before, causing things to hit on each other. Make sure there's clearance. So we documented the whole process. We took some measurements before and after, so follow along into this video to see what things look like before, what things look like after, and the process in between. So we started the process by simply removing the old wheels, both being 29-inch obviously, so that we could swap them for the new carbon Synthesis E11 wheel set. We then undid the air cap on our fork and made sure to let all the air out of the fork before starting to disassemble it to install the new air spring. After letting out all the air in the fork, we took our 32mm socket, undid the air cap, and began removing the lowers of the fork. After things are unthreaded, we took a soft rubber mallet and gave things a slight tap to loosen them up so that we could easily pull off the lowers from the stanchions. We put a rag around our brake caliper just in case any oil dripped. We didn't want to contaminate our pads. After we successfully removed the old air spring and pulled it out of the lowers of the fork, we used the grease and swapped it over to our new 160mm air spring and inserted it back into the same fork lower leg. After tightening everything back up, we reinstalled the air cap and inflated the fork back up to the previous pressure. We then unassembled the rear shock, pulled out the previous bushing, and swapped it for our new BergTech offset bushing. We installed our new wheels, and after that we were good to go, ready for a test ride.